Morning, afternoon, depending on where you're at. I gotta make sure my sound is working. Hold on. No, my sound on my tablet. Hold on. It's gonna come in, and I know it's gonna be loud. So Windows. Had to make sure that was off, so I can see who comes in, so I can see who's here. Mercedes, thank you for joining the 500K earners. We appreciate you. Uh, I hope everybody got a chance to see the videos yesterday. Yay. 300K, 500K. No estate, no date, Had to wear the shirt. Oh, this is the Carfax thing. Hold on. Push that back. There we go. In range. Got that. Speaking of, I was supposed to talk about this book, but I didn't get a chance to talk about it. Hey, are we gonna do a word from our sponsors today, D? Okay. So this book right here, um, The Givers, Wealth, Power, and Philanthropy in a New Gilded Age. What is this book about? Well, this book is basically inside when you first open up, it's an inside look at the hidden world of elite philanthropists and how they quietly wield ever more power to shape the American life in ways of both good and bad. It says, while the media focuses on billionaire givers such as Bill Gates and Charles Koch, thousands of donors are at work below the radar promoting a wide range of causes. David Callahan charts the rise of these new power players and the ways they're converting the great fortunes of the second Gilded Age into influence. Drawn on interviews with top philanthropists, he explores what drives them to give and how they're pursuing big change in the American life. In the givers, we meet a savvy and ambitious elite that is working behind the scenes on 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 most pressing issues of our time: education, environment, health, criminal justice, and more, with a deep impact that affects us all. Looking ahead, Callahan argues that the influence of the big philanthropy is only just the beginning, as new waves of billionaires, and this is the older book, like Mark Zuckerberg, turn to giving in an era where the government is on the decline. Basically, in this book, it talks about it starts off with how Berkshire Hathaway became who he was, and also talks about the influence of billionaires, trillionaires, on the environment. Um, right, like right here, like what we got. Let me see, can you see it? Herding cats, right? Herding cats, and just different things in here that I think you will find interesting. I need to finish the book. Um, but it also talks about, I think one of the biggest ones is in here, chapter 9, the heirs to influence, and then chapter 11, the agents of wealth, right? The heirs of influence. What's going to happen with the heirs of these multi-billion trillion dollar companies? What are the nine baby Elons gonna do with their wealth, right? What does that look like? What does it look like for the wealth of for the wealth of even Bill and Melinda Gates, who they leave their money to? Um Oprah, Tyler Perry. What does that look like, right? What does that look like? What do you think they would do? So a book I wanted to talk about before was part of the book club as well, right? Morning, Donette. Morning, Marshana, Natasha, Stevens, Azrael. How you doing? D Links. How you doing? Natasha, how you doing? Hope all's well with you as well. And casual economists, salute to you again, um, as well. So let's get into um, some stuff. I don't know if everybody is ready. I don't know. Let me know if you're ready or not. All right, so let's open up. Let's start off with let me close this one out. This one out. And, I should have left that open. Dang it. It's one of my links. All right, so let's go with this. This came out on November the 15th. I'm quite sure some of you saw it. Maybe some of you didn't. Banking giants and New York Fed start their 12-week digital dollar pilot. Let me know if you saw this or not by putting a one in the chat. Let me know if you saw this or not if by putting a one in the chat. All right. So the global banking giants are starting a 12-week digital dollar pilot with the Federal Reserve Bank of New York. The participants announced today, and this was Tuesday, on November 15th. Citigroup, HSBC Holdings, MasterCard, and Wells Fargo are among the financial companies participating in the experiment alongside the New York Fed Innovation Center, they said in a statement. The project which is called the Regulated Liability Network, will be conducted in a test environment and use simulated data. The New York Fed said. The pilot will test how banks use digital dollar tokens in a common database can help speed up payments. Earlier this month, Michelle Neal, head of New York's Fed Market Group, said it sees promise in using a central dollar digital in using a central bank digital dollar to speed up settlement time in currency markets. Right. So we see this. You see this, right? You see this digital dollar coming out. It's just a pilot, right? Let's see if we find any more information. We just type digital dollar. Um, let's see what we're finding out here. You see that from Seeking Alpha. Bloomberg had something on it. Here we see that digital dollar project. Let me control. I was going to talk about this yesterday, but I decided against it. Let's look at it. Technical possibilities for the U.S. Central Bank digital currency. This is from the White House. This is in September. All right, so let's go to that one. Make it a little bigger for you all. All right, President Biden often summarizes, and this is from whitehouse.gov, often summarizes his vision for America in one word: possibilities of a digital dollar. May seem far fetched, but the modern technology could make it a real possibility, right? They're testing it now, right? The United States Central Bank digital currency would be a digital form of the US dollar. Now, we had on our meetup uh where a company was actually paying people as a 1099 worker in stable coins, right? Stable coins. So just keep in mind how things are changing. I was on Clubhouse yesterday and people were like, nobody's using Rust. They're not using Rust like that, this, that, and other. But now we're starting to see smart contracts. And everybody who's doing Web3 and smart contracts are using Rust, right? There's like it's such a small thing, but it doesn't. We already see, and I talked about this Kata OS coming out from Google, and they're making their own operating system, and they're using Rust as their baseline. Um, Amazon has switched over their baseline to Rust. We see a lot of the AI ML using Rust, and everybody's like, "Oh no, they're not doing that. Nobody's using Rust. Stick with Python. Stick with this, that, and other." You can either talk about it and go on Indeed and look it up and think that's it, but I'm just giving you a prelude, a forewarning. We see the Linux operating system being uh, moving Rust into its kernel, moving Rust into its baseline versus Python, right? I'm just saying, you can stand on the sidelines, or you can get in the game. All right. The United States Central Banking digital currency, CBDC, would be a digital form of the US dollars. While the US has not decided whether it will pursue a CDBC, the US has been closely examining the implications of and the options for issuing a CDBC. If the US pursued a CDBC, there could be many possible benefits, such as facilitating efficient and low cost transactions, fostering access to financial systems, boosting economic growth, and supporting the continued centrality of the U.S. within the international financial system. However, a U.S. CDBC could also introduce a variety of risks. I said this earlier today on someone else's show, that the three main things that run the world that you can't dispute, What do you think the three are? Put in the chat what you think the three are. I'll wait. I just want to see what you think the three are. The three things you can't dispute that run the world, that's international. See if we got any guess. I can't wait. See if anybody got one guess. I don't know. I tell you, one of them starts with a D. Money? It's even deeper than that. Change your money? I'm gonna give you the first one. The first one is data. What do you think the second one is? Yep. What do you think the second one is? Can't dispute it. Gonna always be needed. I don't care where you at. Data is one. Next question is security. How do you secure that data? How do you secure those transactions? Security. And last but not least, the one thing you're gonna always need, it's gonna always be there, is automation. Now, automation can come in the form of robots, that can come in the form of using AI to automate or whatnot. But automation, data, security, and automation, you're never going to get away from those. I don't care what country you're living in. I don't care where you're at. I don't care if you're living in a third world country that has limited internet. You're going to always be taking in data from how people move. You're going to take in data from what people travel to what they like, to where they go, to what they eat. You're going to always do that. Data, security, and automation are always going to be needed. I don't care what country you live in. Those are the main three. And there are others. But the main three: data, security, and automation. Right? So if we do go to a digital dollar, how are we going to secure the transaction? What data are we going to use to make sure that is secure? And how do we automate that transaction and automate the security of that transaction? Hands down, it'll always be needed. Care where you at, right? It says, however, the U.S. CDBC also has a variety of risks, as it might affect everything ranging from the stability of the financial system to the protection of the sensitive data. Notably, these benefits and risks might vary significantly based on how the CDBC system is designed and deployed. This is why an executive order 14067 ensuring responsible development of digital assets. We're going to look at that. Place the highest urgency on research and development. I need data. We need research, right? So we got to research, we got to come up with a plan, you got to implement, you got to let people poke holes in it and then go from there, right? We're back we're back to what? Data, right? It says place blah 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 blah. Okay, it says place the highest urgency on research and development efforts into the potential design and deployment of options of the U.S. CDBC. The executive order directed the Office of Science and Technology Policy (OSTP) in consultation with with federal departments and agencies to submit to the president a technical evaluation for a potential U.S. CBDC. Now, this came out in September. This was already in effect. It just had to be made known to y'all. That was already in effect because you don't go from September to November, and now you're doing a simulated work. You don't go that quick. You don't move that quick, right? Things this was already taking place. We're just late. We're just not getting the knowledge, right? All right, it say today OSTP Publishing is report the technical evaluation for a U.S. Central Bank digital currency system, which lays out the policy objectives for a potential U.S. CBDC system and analyzes key technical design choices for a CDB system. Drop a one in the chat if you find this interesting. I can always move on, but I thought this was interesting from a technology standpoint as well, right? From a technology standpoint. Drop a one if you find this interesting. If not, drop a two and we can move on. I can scrap this because I got tons of information, tons of things to discuss, tons of things we could talk about. Got tons. We're never stagnant over here. I give you the audience the choice to say what you want to hear, because without you we wouldn't have a channel, right? So I try to bring interesting stuff. I try to show you where we're moving, what people are looking at, what's going on, right? Try to bring that to you. All right, so let's get back to it. It also says the report also estimates the technical feasibility of building a CDBC minimum viable product MVP, and describes how the U.S. CDBC system might affect the federal operations. The report makes recommendations on how to prepare the federal government for a U.S. CDB system. Importantly, the report does not make any assessments or recommendations about whether the U.S. should pursue a CDBC, nor does it make any decisions regarding the particular design choices for a potential U.S. CDB system. The policy objectives at last year's summit for democracy, right? So we had the World Forum, right? I don't know if y'all looked at the World Forum. You need to go back and check it out because the digital currency was the CDBC was mentioned there. You probably didn't catch it. That's why I wanted to go back and review those videos. Right? We talked about Robert Smith in the 50 years, and there were so many other people. I got to go back and pull. I have a whole list of things that I want to pull up and talk about. But let's not derail. The World Forum. Now we got the Summit for Democracy. We also need to be looking at a lot of the international conventions. Here's one that I talked about last week. Um, Apps Summit. I think it's called GSAT or something like that. I may have it wrong. May have it wrong. See, it was last week. Alp Summit Billionaires. Let me look that up. No, that's 526. This one was like the last 2 weeks. Let me put November. I have it in my notes. Anyway, these billionaires met up in the Alps. And I think I talked about it last week. They met up in the apps, and they were discussing basically how to shape the world, right? Basically how to shape the world. Let's see. That's the world's richest people. We got that. We don't care about that unless you want me to go through that. But I don't. We don't care about that. We want to talk about this meeting in the apps of the wealthiest. It was in the apps. I find it. I'll find it. When I find it, I'll share it again. I have to go through my notes. But let's get back to it. That was another meeting to watch to see who attends, to see who those people are. All right, let's get back down here. Oh yeah, we finished it. Okay, cool. All right, the digital dollar project. All right, so here is the digital dollar project. They have publications. They have a board of directors right here. Charles Giancarlo brothers, I'm assuming, Chris and Charles, Daniel Gorfine, David Treat, and Jennifer B. Lester, right? Board of directors. Let me see. Let's look at careers real quick. It's a nonprofit organization. The Digital Dollar, oh, it's small. The Digital Dollar Project was created to encourage public discussion on the potential advantages of and the challenges of the USC CBDC or a digital dollar. Through research and pilot programs, the DDP Digital Dollar Project explores options for the CBDC solution to help enhance monetary policy effectiveness and financial stability. Here's your chance, and this is another thing that we're going to miss out on is we need to have influence on that and how it affects our neighborhoods as well. All right. How it affects our neighborhoods as well. And not only how it affects our neighborhoods as well, but also how we can get involved in it so that we know what goes on or how we can implement stuff in our neighborhoods or with our products as well. Right. See, they need a technical product manager and an executive assistant. Let's look at the technical product manager. The Digital Dollar Project is looking for a technical product manager to guide and support the growth of DDP pilots and research projects through best in class stakeholder relations, community building, and project management practices. The technical product manager responsibility will spread across strategic, operational, and tactical areas. Right? They go on about you. We seek motivated, detailed oriented, and high performing technical product manager who will support DDP's growing research capability. This person would be instrumental in the growth and the company culture of DDP. Experience in design thinking, facilitation, training, and similar industries, ability to deal with complexity and ambiguity in a dynamic and fast paced environment, excellent research, analytical, design thinking, and presentation skills, strong program management skills, and attention to detail, ability to work on different projects and deliver high quality deliverables in committed time frames, experience with bringing external and internal organizations and stakeholders into alignment, right? The benefits. The Dollar Project is a remote work organization that hires world class talent. Collaboration is in our DNA. We pride ourselves on being able to work closely while not being tied to office. We offer a competitive salary, bonus package, plus medical, dental benefits, retirement benefits, unlimited PTO, including 1 week company shutdown, 12 public holidays, home office setup, and annual learning stipend. Right? That's on the Digital Dollar Project website. In case anybody was listening, wanted to know. Let's go back. All right, here's the publications. It came out. Digital Dollar Project launches technical sandbox program to explore central banking digital currency infrastructure solutions. All right, let's go read the full release. The new program will explore technical and business implementation questions. Right, Blah blah blah. The program will serve collaborative space. Blah blah blah. I'm trying to see what the tech is behind it, and we can get that off the website too. So they got an education phase and a pilot phase. Do do do. All right. So let's go back over here. Let's go back to their web page. Let's see right here. Publications, newsrooms, press release, talk videos. Here's some videos. FinTech Open Source Foundation. This is coming out of CNCF. Hyperledger Foundation and Digital Dollar Project team up to drive development and collaboration for CDBCs. That's on May 23rd of 2022. So again, Hyperledger Foundation, um, and they actually have a conference for this as well too, right? The Digital Dollar in Focus, Accenture and former CFTC chair team up to launch pilots. It's May 24th of 2021. Central banks are pivoting toward digital currencies. Here's why. May 24th of 2021. Crypto Dad. That's the guy the first two guys that we saw. The Digital Dollar Live, right? Nonprofit digital dollar plans. Five tests for the concept, right? So it's been going on since 2021, right? And now we see the launch here in New York. Here, banking giants, the New York Fed start the 12-week digital dollar project. When I mentioned the Finos conference, right here, it's coming up in New York on December the 8th, right? Open Source and Finance Forum is the only forums dedicated to driving collaboration and innovation in financial services through open source and software standards, right? Um, I gotta accept that so I can move it. All right, so we got community. They have a Slack channel, community meeting, different projects from open source readiness to Legend, Waltz, Open Rich Tech, Innovating in All Projects Landscapes. You got a membership. Then they have resources. The State of Open Source in the Financial Services. If you want to read that, their GitHub, their GitLab, their development tool chain. Let's go look at their tool chain. All right. Their tool chain collaboration, setting up a GitHub account, access to control artifact. They're using they got a Kanban board that they're using. Um, let's see, what else do they have in here? Public versus private membership, the different teams, code hosting, repository setup, building, versioning, release, best practices, pull requests, compliance. And here's their contributor cheat sheet. Let's see, let's go to CI/CD. And then they have continuous integration, closure, Python, JavaScript, C Sharp, continuous delivery. They're using OpenShift underneath everything. Code validations, Sonar Code Climate, then the different hosted things. So again, when we're looking at this, and you want to look underneath, again, they're saying that go check out Martin Fowler. Everybody I think should know about Martin Fowler. But again, when we're looking at this, you're going to start looking at what's underneath it, right? Travis CI, um, images and streams, right? What kind of images to use? they're deploying to a Kubernetes cluster. That's basically what OpenShift is. And so those that took the OpenShift class, this should look familiar. The API version that they're using, the type of object is an image stream, the labels that they have, the metadata and the latest labels, right? Where the actual image is coming from, the Docker image repository. Here they got going to more labels. Here another deployment here, another image stream that they're deploying, another repository, and then looking through all of this post commits, the whole nine, right? They have everything in here that you need, the layout of what they of how they do their things for their image and their streams. So there you have it. You want to know what's behind the digital dollar, the actual infrastructure behind it. OpenShift. They're using OpenShift. Now, whether they're using open source OpenShift or they're using OpenShift, probably more than likely the open source version, OpenShift and not Red Hat. There you have it, right? All right. So I also ripped open on one of their pages. They had the technical evaluation of the CBDC system. And I'm not gonna spend a lot of time on this. Deacon dropped the link for this. It's and you all can check this out and you can rip it apart. And if you want to talk about it another time, we can. Let me pull this back here so Deacon dropped this link to you. All right, so let's blow this up. All right, so here they talk about, if you look at this, they're talking about participants, how to transport, interoperability, governance, the security, dealing with security and secure of the hardware. This is where I talked about the confidential computing consortium, where we got this where we're able to do blockchain and basically at the CPU level have security at the CPU level, transactions, signatures, the data model, right? Adjustments, feasibility, and resources, right? Public sector, private sector, right? The federal process, cybersecurity and privacy, social safety net programs, recommendations on preparing the U.S. CDBC, advanced technical work, so forth. Scale up tech capacity across the federal government, right? Expect more. And if you go over to sam.gov and start looking around um for what's the word I'm looking for? Not projects, but RFIs and RFPs and OTAs for this, you'll see that. And then they got the modern technology stack. Um, as the digital services playbook notes, the digital services team should consider an open source cloud-based commodity solution across the technology stack because of their widespread adoption and support for successful consumer and enterprise technology companies in the private sector. In other words, the US CDBC should default to using existing tools where possible for standard technology infrastructure, database management, networking stack, logging infrastructure, memory caches, cryptographic libraries. This has many benefits such as resource and security benefits, as well as well-tested and regular updated tools. Crucially, it increases access in an important way, allowing software engineers to use tools they are already familiar with or have an extensive documentation in developer communities. And it is also worth noting that the popular private sector administered digital assets also build on top of these existing tech infrastructure and tools. And I went through the tools, and here we go: agile development, team structure. Look at here: UX, UI, product managers, designers, policy and compliance experts, and so forth. Application developers, DevSecOps engineers, system architects, data infrastructure engineers, quality assurance engineers, cryptography experts, information security experts, payment system experts, digital currency programmability experts, all right? Hardware engineers. We covered the gamut on this. And what agencies are involved? Commodity, the CFTC, Commodity Futures Trading Commission, the DOJ, Department of Labor, SEC. Everybody is all hands on deck, right? And I named off a variety of jobs, or I should say titles, that are actually jobs as well too, right? So I'll drop this PDF. I could talk about more on this PDF. I think we should probably do like a binary hustlers on this or something. I don't know. To talk about this because um, they're going to launch and people are going to need this experience again, shaping our understanding where the money is flowing and where people are going. Right, where right. We talked about OpenShift. We saw GitLab. We saw GitHub. We saw CI/CD. We saw everything that I've talked about. Those three things that I talked about in there: data, security, automation. There you go. You're gonna always need those: data, security, automation. This is It's not a blanket statement. It's not a must. It's just a must-have. Right? You're gonna always have those things. I don't care what company you work for. I don't care what what country you're in. You're gonna always have those things. Right? So there's the PDF. All right, ensuring responsible development of digital assets, right? Here they talk about the policies, ensuring responsible development of the assets, right? Objectives, responsibilities. We must mitigate the illicit finance and national security risks posed by misuse of digital assets. Digital assets may pose significant illicit finance risks, including money laundering, cybercrime, ransomware, narcotics, human trafficking, terrorism, and proliferation financing. Digital assets must be used as a tool to circumvent United States and foreign financial sanctions regimes and other tools and other authorities. Right? Further, while the United States has been a leader in setting international standards for regulation and supervision of digital assets for anti-money laundering and countering the financing of terrorism, AML, CFT, poor or non-existent implementation of those standards in some jurisdictions abroad can present significant illicit financing risk for the United States and global financial industries. Right? Bad actors, right? Growth in decentralized financial ecosystems, peer-to-peer payment activity, and obscure blockchain ledgers without controls to mitigate illicit finance could also present additional market and national security risks in the future. Right? Security. There we go. Infrastructure. It's going to always be there. You always need infrastructure. You want to know where your skills and your talents lie, and you want to be employed for the next 10 years. I've given you multiple blueprints on that, multiple things that you can get into in order to get there, right? I had this talk on Clubhouse yesterday, and it was about a lot of people say they're going to major in cybersecurity, and I don't know what that means. I don't know what it means when you say that. Does that mean you're majoring in cybersecurity to from a threat analysis? Are you securing data? Are you securing the cloud? Are you doing a blue team, red team, purple team? What are you actually doing? I don't know, right? So when you say you're going in for cybersecurity degree, I don't know what that means. And what I typically hear what that sounds like is governance of it. And what I'm saying to you is governance is a part of cybersecurity, but having the technical piece is the other part. Having the technical chops is the other part. Save yourself some time and drama. Learn the technical part of cybersecurity as well too. Right? All right. So let's keep it flowing. All right, we talked about the Summit for Democracy. We looked at the technical evaluations. We broke down the technical piece of building the infrastructure for this to happen. how people would take payments, what app are they using, who's involved in it. We see the Finos conference coming up. It's December the 8th in New York. You think that those list of people are not going to be there for that conference? That list of agencies are not going to be at their conferences? Oh yeah, they're going to be there. Along with the bank, along with the major banks, along with your Chase, Capital One, JP Morgan, Fidelity, Charles Schwab, New York Life, all your insurance, they're going to be there. Wealth management people are going to be there. People who are going to be looking for uh, new and upcoming things. Don't think that family offices are not looking at it or looking at people what they're doing, and they're going to be there. Everybody looking for a place to store their money, right? Everybody looking for a place to store their money. All right, we're gonna keep it in the money, and then I'm gonna go over the taxes in a minute. But did anybody see this? Did anybody see this? Ghana tells gold miners to sell 20% of their refined bullion to the government. Ghana's government on Friday ordered all large mining companies to sell 20% of its entire stock of refined gold at their refineries to the country's central bank starting January the 1st, part of its plan to stem dwindling foreign currency reserves. The Bank of Ghana and the government's marketing arm will buy the gold from companies including Newmont, which is ticker symbol ENM, and Anglo Gold Ashanti, which is AU, and Goldfields GFI at the spot price with no discount. Ghana, which is Africa's second largest producer, largest gold producer, is struggling to stem a sideline in Cedi, the world's the world's worst performing currency this year is dropping 57%. Right? Vice President Mahamudu, I'm messing this up, Bawumia, I'm totally probably murked that, said the government wants to use bullion to buy fuel in an attempt to reduce the demand for dollars. The gold price will not decline forever. And Newmont, in NEM is their ticker symbol, is the first responder to the rising gold prices. Runs through this right in an analysis published recently on Seeking Alpha, right? Right? Trying not to die off. But imagine if most of the other countries started requiring that. You got to pay me in some form or whatnot. What are the countries in Africa going to do? Are they going to convert to a digital currency? Probably need to do a deep dive on some of the places in Africa. Probably need to do a deeper dive. Some of the countries in Africa. Some have them already. But what does that look like? In an international scale, what does that look like? What assets do those countries hold outside of their countries? What assets do you hold outside of the US, if any? Right? All right. Let's go here. Buy the fear like Warren Buffett. Here are the 3 top stocks yielding as high as 9.2%, so you can make your money on inactivity. This came out November the 23rd. Everyone wants to buy low and sell high, but it's a lot easier than said than done, especially in a falling market where the S&P has tumbled 16.5% year to date. But you don't need a rallying market to make money from stocks. You can also collect dividends. Instead of trying to capture a stock next move up or down, and dividend investors can just sit back and relax. We talked about drip last week. I'm bringing it up again. And let dividend checks roll in. After all, Warren Buffett once said Wall Street makes its money on activity, You make your money on inactivity, right? So let's drop down here. It says it's hard to be a buyer of anything in a market where everyone seems to be panic selling. But then again, being a contrarian, you is exactly how many investors became successful. Be fearful when others are greedy, and greedy when others are fearful. Right. So he went. Here's one of them. AT&T. Let me see. Story continues. Let me see. AT&T, for instance. Blah 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 blah. The next one is Income, ticker symbol O. Realty Income is a real estate investment trust with a portfolio of over 11,000 properties, or 12,000 properties if you want to round up, that are under long-term lease agreements. Its top tenants include big names like Walmart, CVS, Pharmacy, and Walgreens, companies that have survived and thrived throughout the thick and the thin. In fact, the REIT claims that it collects around 43% of its total rent from investment grade tenants, a diversified high quality tenant based on realty income to pay reliable dividends. Moreover, while most dividend paying companies follow a quarterly distribution schedule, Realty pays its shareholders every month. The stock currently yields about 4.6%. Morgan Stanley analyst Ronald Camden has an overweight rating of realty income and a price target of 74, roughly 13% above the current levels. MPLX isn't a household name like AT&T, but for serious year hunters, it's a stock that's probably shouldn't be ignored. Headquartered in Findlay, Ohio, MPLX is a master limited partnership created by Marathon Petroleum to own, operate, develop, and acquire midstream energy infrastructure assets. The partnership pays quarterly distributions of $77.50 per unit, with the stock trading at $33.73. That translates into a chunky annual dividend of 9.2%. In Q3, generated 1.26 billion of distributable cash flow, which provided 1.58 times. Right, the stock is also up 12.8%. Right, so ticker symbols. We'll go over them. O again for Realty Income. We got AT&T with its ticker symbol T, so TO, and then MPLX is the other one. Those are the three ticker symbols that they mentioned in this. The marathon one that they're mentioning here, I am in marathon. I'm logging into my account, and I'll tell you, it's I have a nice return on marathon. This is not financial advice. I'm just giving you plays that I'm in and things that I find interesting on the internet. Let me go look at marathon right now. Marathon is returning me 33%. And I'm on Charles Schwab. Marathon Peak Corporation MPC, ticker symbol MPC. So do you want to put these ticker symbols up? MPC, O, T, MPLX. Go do your own due diligence. Go look at how they return, what their returns are, how they've been performing. You can use Yahoo. You can go on Charles Schwab or Fidelity and download a prospectus, which I need to download a prospectus and we need to read through one. Right? MPC, O, T, MPLX. Those are the ticker symbols. Check them out. Let me know what you think. More fear. More fear. Yay. Let's feed into the fear. Yep. Don't forget to like the video. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Don't forget. All right. So this came out this week. I found it interesting. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. You know I like to be controversial. You know I'm petty T. Which article? For that by the fear? I'll put it in the back check. There you go. All right. Couple privilege. Petty tea time. Petty tea time. We need to have, I think we need to have like we need to have like some kind of video come in when it's about to be petty tea time. Petty petty tea time. Yep, D dropped it. All right. Couple privilege. The wealth gap between single and American Americans has more than doubled in the last decade. How do you get ahead when you're at a notable disadvantage? This came out November the 25th. Today is the 26th. Came out yesterday. Let's see what they're talking about. For all us single people, we're at a disadvantage. Mm, mm, mm. That's what they say. Let's go. It says if you thought the endless swiping and scrolling on data apps were the worst part about being single in 2022, then hold on because there's even a colder reality waiting for you. Ooh, spicy. While one is the loneliest number, it's also increasingly the poorest. Though it's not surprising married couples have a higher net worth than singles over the last decade, that gap has even doubled, and married couples are pulling out far ahead of the singles. Oh, you broke singles out there. Mm-mm-mm. Broke, lonely, and disgusted. Mm-mm-mm. Says the skyrocketing value of assets, especially homes, over the past couple of years is largely to blame for the growing gap, but the high inflation and rising interest rates aren't helping either. So if people are out here telling y'all don't go buy a house, keep listening to them. Keep listening to them. Keep widening the gap. Keep missing out on your wealth. Keep listening to them. And you don't have to buy a house to live in it. You could buy a house and then, rent it out, or you could buy some property or some land and develop it and rent it out. Then like, what are we talking about here? Keep listening. Back to it, D. Let's get back to it. It says, at a time when more people are staying single for longer, building wealth on your own is becoming increasingly difficult. Chances are good you're overpaying for home insurance. Here's how. Oh, that's something else. That's something that just hot right in there. Let's skip that part. The gap that keeps on growing. In 2019, the net worth of married and single household differed by 60,000, more than double the size of the gap that existed in 2010, when it was about 25,000, according to the data from the Survey of Consumer Finances, analyzed by the Federal Reserve Bank of St. Louis. But the ballooning value of assets like investments, vehicles, and real estate especially has widened the gap even further over the past couple of years. Estimates Lowell Ricketts, data scientist at the Institute of Economic Equity at St. Louis Federal Reserve. Now listen to what they stated. But the ballooning value of assets like investments, vehicles, and real estate. Wonder why he said vehicles. Because people tell you, oh, don't go buy a car. Don't go do this because this is depreciating asset. And you're going to be out for in the cold. You don't understand. And blah, la, 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 la. Okay, let's go. We've seen since 2019 is really this incredible asset price appreciation, says Ricketts. Houses are getting more valuable as have been financial assets, although until recently the market validity financial assets have had much more of a roller coaster ride, but housing assets still remain strong. The median house price in in the US in 2019 was about 300,000, according to Realtor.com. As of October 2022, the median price is 425,000, and that increase is showing up in a disparity of wealth. The extra 125,000 makes applying for a mortgage that much harder. If you're on your own and trying to get into a competitive market, but if you already own, the value adds to your wealth. Married couples are going to have a greater net worth of accumulation through housing equity. Should I read that again for the people in the back? Read it again. They say read it again for the people in the back. Married couples are going to have a greater net worth of accumulation through housing equity. That don't mean you as a single person can't have a house and have the same thing. That's all I'm saying. All right. And so I think that's going to potentially balloon this gap even further, bearing any sort of housing market downturn and rapid price depreciation. In 2021, couples were twice as likely to buy a house than singles. That year, 60% of home buyers were married couples, 19% were single women, and 9% were single men. Hey, men, hey, single men, I need for y'all to go get you some assets. I ain't telling you to buy a house and move a woman in. I'm just saying go get you some assets. And all no estate, no date. Put it in an estate. That way you don't have to worry about it. Right? It says, I hope this is a part of the article here. Inflation and rising interest rate hit single income households hard. High inflation, which was 7.7% in October, and the increasing interest rates aren't helping singles either. That can be a factor for single households as well, that they just have less choices in front of them with inflation across the board range of goods, says Ricketts. So we might see some exacerbating factors there. The smaller your income or net worth, the more likely that it is you're already buying items on the cheaper end of the scale. And when those items rise in price, there aren't many options for even cheaper items, right? Dual earning couples not only are bringing in two incomes in many cases, but also sharing the expenses of food, clothing, shelter, and anything. Not in these streets, not in these YouTube streets. That ain't what they say. Petty T strikes. In these YouTube streets, the man is paying for everything. He is paying for the food, the expenses, the clothing, the shelter, everything. The BBLs, everything. He paying for it all. That's what they say. So there is an innate disadvantage, says Margaret Price, who co-wrote the book Single Women and Money: How to Live Well on Your Income. And single women have added the hurdle of gender pay gap. Over the course of their career, women make about 400,000 less than men, according to the National Women's Law Center, and is doubly worse for women of color. Inflation also exacerbates the problem, says Price. But the point is that even if inflation cools, which certainly everyone is hoping for, the fact remains that single women are at a notable disadvantage. Tips to protect what you have. While getting ahead can be a challenge, it's important to make sure you have the necessary steps to protect your wealth, like an estate. I'm going to throw it out there. And no, Don, I won't leave y'all alone. I won't leave y'all alone. All right. It says, let's go talk about first, make sure you have funds to support yourself if you ever lose a job. The burden is all on you. And the chances are you earn less than a man, and the chances are you earn less than dual earning couples. I think you're supposed to have that anyway. People say you're supposed to have an emergency fund for 6 months. I'm really going 8 to 12 months. And the reason why I go 8 to 12 months, because you may want to take a class and you may want to take a course, and it's going to take you at least 3 to 4 months on that course. And then you're going to turn around and put yourself out there to start interviewing. And so that interview process may take 3 weeks to a month, right? So now we're at 4 to 5 months. And then next thing too, you need to sleep. You need to relax. You need to get mentally ready, right? So that 6 months is cool, but I'm really giving 8 months, 8 to 12 months. I think you need that, right? All right. Then the price, it said adding to an emergency fund is important to become financially secure. Price suggests setting aside at least 3 months worth of money. Then Price recommends you do estate planning. Oh my goodness. What D? I can't even, I hadn't even read this article. No, no estate, no debt. Put your assets into an estate. You saying, Tameika, why you keep saying that? I'm saying that not only for protection for um you and dating someone uh or getting into a relationship. I'm also saying it for tax purposes as well too. I'm not telling you we're not I'm not telling you not to share your resources. I'm just saying stop crying about getting married because you think somebody's gonna take half of your stuff when you can put it in an estate. And that's men and women. I hear women crying, I hear men crying. No estate, no date. Let's get back to it. Estate planning. Even if you're young and healthy, while that means writing a will, there's plenty of other important decisions or discussions this type of planning will bring up. Like who will make the decisions for you in the case you're unable to. We don't know if something is going to happen to us, she says. We could be in a car accident anytime. We could develop an illness. And the question is not only about the morality, but who will help us out, right? Who will help you out? And it's got 903 comments. Ooh, let's look. Petty, petty D. And T is on proud. All right. I don't think a married couple with two incomes can potentially be better off financially over the long haul, especially if you own your home. But let me tell you, raising kids is expensive. I've tried to convince my kids to save at least 15% of any summer income and make it a habit, especially easy now since my wife and I are still covering their bills. I wish my own parents have encouraged saving. Maybe after they finish school, they'll have enough saved for a down payment on a condo or to buy a car used for cash. I think kids are getting enough training on basic economics, but the key is to prioritize saving and investing early. Even if you have a couple of dollars set aside, fortunately, there seems to be more saving instruments geared toward low income customers than there were in when I was in my 20s. Right? Let's scroll through some comments. A privilege. It's a choice to get married. This is Dave on here. It's a choice to get married, and it's also a choice to both parties decide to work and have two incomes. It is an advantage against a single income earner. Sure it is, but that's just simple mathematics. There's no special gift here. It's a partnership. Let's see. Let's see. You're kidding me, right? Only makes sense that two people can outpace a single person in accumulating wealth. More likely to own a home instead of rent, etc. Trying to rent, pay house payment, food, electricity, vehicle, etc. Let's see. If you're married and your spouse doesn't work, you find a job that pays enough to allow them to stay at home. It's not a privilege, it's what works for your family. Spending your money wisely, budgeting each month and investing in your future is what keeps you on track to be wealthy and plain and simple. I'll drop this link so y'all can go read through it. 40% of the women do not work outside of the home. The only time my wife ever worked was part-time when she was in college. This article assumes that all married couples have the man and the woman both working. 40% of the women, they're 40% of the time they're still a single income. That's what I've been hearing. It's still a single income. All right. So let's get into what I really want to talk about today. All right. Let's get into the peoples. All right, here we go. Blackstone, a $1 trillion fortress with a very wide moat. Blackstone is inching closer to 1 trillion in assets under management AUM. In this article, I will update you on the Q3 22 findings. In addition, I will provide you with details on why I consider this asset manager to be one of the best in the world. Looking for more investing ideas like this one and blah, 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 blah. Right? Let's talk about them. Back in May of 2022, I wrote an article on Blackstone, ticker symbol BX, ticker symbol BX, with the very same title, a dollar strong buy trillion private equity juggernaut. That was 7 months ago, and while my strong recommendation has not panned out yet, the 1 trillion under AUM, assets under management markets, inching closer by the day. Back then, the AUM was 915 billion, and as of Q3, the figure has grown to 951 billion. They have 319 billion in real estate, 283 billion in private equity, 79 billion in hedge fund solutions, and 269 billion in credit and insurance solutions. Right? BX shares have declined around 11% since my article in May, and shares are down around 30%. As you can see, BX has the third worst performer of other asset managers. We talked about the asset manager last week. Who remembers her name? Who remembers her name from last week? Did y'all go look her up? Who remembers the lady from last week? I'm bringing you asset managers. I'm telling you to look them up. Did y'all check out the asset manager from last week from Vanguard? I'm giving out $5. Who knows her? Better get up there. I'm giving out $20. Who knows this lady? What's her name? I'm gonna do the countdown. I'm gonna do a 10-second countdown. I'll do a 20-second countdown. All right. Heather G wins the 20. Heather G, you know what to do. Drop your cash app in there. My phone's not here. I think I've sent you a cash app before. Sharon Hill. Right, Sharon Hill. Go look at Sharon Hill. Here's why you look at these people. And this is going to get into a deeper conversation. The deeper conversation is understanding how they're moved, what they're looking at. Go check them out on LinkedIn, Twitter, whatever the case may be. But also, the reason why I'm telling you to look at that, because some of you would make great fund managers, and you just don't know that that's an opportunity for you. And you could be a fund manager in tech. You could be working for a fund. You just don't know it. You just don't know it. All right. Let's get back to it. Oh, did Shay, did you have it up there too? I seen you 22. I thought Hella G was first. Looked like y'all came at the same time. All right. As you can see, BX has been the third worst performer of asset managers that we cover. KKR, T. Rowe Price are the worst performers on the list. All right. But look at this list though. We got Cohen Steers, Franklin Resources, BlackRock, Blue Owl Capital, and Alliance Bernstein. If I were you all, I would go look at all these particular ones right here and find out who their fund managers are. Right? They're down. But we had a down year. But we can also find out who the top ones are. Find out who all the fund managers are for these funds. Look at when they meet, because I'm sure fund managers meet up and they talk and they meet and they have conversations. Because again, somebody might introduce a deal to them and they were like, yeah, we want to get in on that. or some, and then somebody be like, "No, I don't want to get on that." In fact, we don't even want it. They be like, "Well, I'll take it. We can make that work in what we got going on, right?" While rising rates and labor costs remain elevated, we're still bullish on certain asset managers, especially Blackstone, that has become a dominating player with a diverse portfolio that includes investments in energy, travel, leisure, and real estate. On Q3 22 earnings call, BX co-founder and chairman Steve Schwartzman said, "Against this highly challenging backdrop, Blackstone delivered excellent results to our shareholders. Fee-related earnings for the third quarter rose 51% year over year to 1.2 billion, representing our second largest quarter on record. We generated strong distributed earnings of 1.4 billion, or $1 and 6 cents a share. As I pointed out, AUM increased 30% year over year to a record 951 billion, with a strong demand for products across institutional, private wealth, and insurance channels." Now, I'm going to repeat this again. What do these institutional, private wealth, and insurance channels all have in common? What are the three things they all have in common? Y'all should know this answer. We talked about it earlier. What are the three things they all have in common? Do you think they know? They weren't paying attention? That's right, Natasha. Data, security, automation. All three of those, institutional, private wealth, and insurance, have all three. And when we was looking at the digital dollar, all three: data, security, automation. All three, right? One of our core principles since we founded the firm in 1985 is to avoid losing our clients' money, and we've done an excellent job of that. At the largest and the most diverse alternatives firm in the world, we have unique access to data and insights on what is happening in a global economy, allowing us to anticipate trends, and we believe and minimize risk. We then carefully choose sectors and which type of assets to buy, and actively work to build great companies and platforms. We use this advantage as well to help determine area of focus in liquid securities area. This synergistic approach has led to distinctly strong positioning across our business today. This is a 5-year look from Yahoo Finance. As you can imagine, I like the fact that BS is an asset heavy model with a strong allocation in real estate. Approximately 80% of the portfolio is in sectors where rents are growing above the rate of inflation, including logistics, rental housing, life science offices, and hotels. In corporate private equity, BX emphasis is on faster growing companies that has resulted in a 17% year over year growth revenue in operating companies led by travel leisure related holdings. I often refer to BX as the Berkshire Hathaway for real estate investing, and that analogy is fitting as a private equity juggernaut has long history on outperformance and capital protection. Recent research from Morgan Stanley estimates that the private market's AUM will grow 12% annually over the next 5 years. Morgan Stanley also predicts that greatest growth among individual investors, with allocations to alternatives from high net worth individuals more than doubling in 5 years, from 8% to 10% of their portfolios. BX by design is a vehicle over a decade long, recognizing that it wanted to be a clear leader in this channel with largest market share among alternative managers. In this cycle of complexity, BX has built its brand on safety and diverse levers in infrastructure, real estate, and private credit, right? Third quarter results, as previously mentioned, BX was $950 billion, $950.9 billion, up 30% over the year, right? And here's how a breakdown of that. That looks very blurry out there in the land. Let me fix that so you can see it. Third quarter of 2021, 54%, and then they're up now to 56%. But check it out. Most of their stuff is in real estate, and then you got credit and insurance, hedge fund, and then private equity. Now, when we talk about private equity, under private equity, we can also start looking at acquisitions, going out to acquire companies, building around that. This is what this is why I say sometimes you don't have to go out and build a company. Go buy the company that's already there. Roll it in to your private equity fund or your foundation, whatever it is that you have, or your syndication or whatever you're doing, and then build from there. Go with somebody who's already got it built. They already have customers. They're already income producing. They just may want a way out, right? You can get their knowledge, keep them on for 3 or 4 years, 3 to 5. Most people may do anywhere from 1 to 3. Keep them on, get the knowledge, train up people, put people in place, look at the gaps, and build from there, right? Keep in mind that BX is not a REIT, so the payout changes quarterly. The company said it was paying 90 cents per share, 4.9 per common share over the LTM. 1.4 billion was distributed to shareholders with respect to Q3 2022 through dividends and share repurchases, and 7.5 billion over LTM repurchased 2 million common shares in the quarter and 8.1 million common shares. And then they got their call, how it changed, what their stocks were, and who they paid them out to, and that what their balance sheet looks like. Right? I won't. It's a long. This is a long one. I won't keep going over this, but you get the idea here. You get the idea about this particular one, and I'll go back up with BX that we're talking about here. When we're talking about Blackstone, I talked about Vanguard last week. Um, but now let's get into some stuff. Where do I want to go? Mm, let's go here. The SEC, the SEC, is seen pushing bond and option brokers for better prices on trades. Why do you care? So the SEC may propose overhauling rules for the stock market that would expand its oversight of bond and option trading, right? So those that you play options, right? A draft being circulated in the SEC Wall Street main overseer would require that brokers in fixed income and some derivatives, along with equities, to focus on the best deal for their clients, the people said. The industry-backed financial industry, FINRA, already has a best execution rule, but the brokerages will face a tougher enforcement measures if the SEC adopts the same standard, right? So those of you that may have someone that does the plays for you, some of you have wealth managers that go into plays for you. They're like, hey, this is the best deal, or hey, this is looking like X, Y, Z. And we're talking about wealth strategists and as well. Amongst that wealth strategies, you also need to be looking at tax strategies, right? Tax strategies. So that's why I brought that up, right? Because some people don't manage their money. Some people just hire somebody to manage their money for them, right? Let's go. Mm, I don't want to go there yet. I was going to talk about data centers, but let's not go there yet. Let's go here. All right. Tax planning for beginners. I figured I'd give y'all some beginner stuff. I know some of you thought about it, but you're not sure where to start. So, tax planning for beginners: 6 strategies and concepts to know. This came out April 12th of 2022. This may be common knowledge for some, and some it may not. Um, but you should be doing uh, studying. You should be actually having somebody. I really think most people need to get with an enrolled agent, because there's a difference between tax planning and tax strategy, right? There's a difference, or tax strategist. There's a difference, right? So let's get into this. All right. Tax planning is an analysis and arrangement of a person's financial situation in order to maximize tax brackets and minimize tax liabilities in a legal, efficient manner. Let me blow this up. All right. Tax rules can be complicated, but taking some time to know and use them for your benefit can change how much you end up paying when you file. Here are some key tax planning and tax strategy concepts to understand before you make your next money move. Tax planning starts with the understanding of your tax bracket. You gotta know your tax bracket, right? You can't really plan for the future if you don't know where you are today. So the first tax planning tip is to get a grip on your federal tax bracket you're in. In the United States has a progressive tax system. That means that people with higher taxable incomes are subject to higher tax rates, while people with lower taxable incomes are subject to lower tax rates. There are 7 federal tax income brackets: 10, 12, 22, 24, 32, 35, and 37. Most people want to be down here and not up here. And so the question is, if you're up here, how do you get back down to here? What do you need to do to go from here to here? No matter which tax bracket you're in, you probably won't pay the rate on your entire income. There are 2 reasons. You get to subtract deductions to determine your taxable income. That's why your taxable income usually isn't the same as your salary or your total income. You don't just multiply your tax bracket by your taxable income. Instead, the government divides your taxable income into chunks and then taxes each chunk at the corresponding rate. For example, let's say you're a single filer with 32,000 in taxable income. That puts you in the 12% tax bracket in 2021, but you don't pay the 12% on the entire 32,000. No, actually, you only pay only 10% on the first 9,900 and 9,950. You take pay 12% on the rest. If you had $50,000 of taxable income, you only pay 10% on the first 9,951, and then 12% on the chunk of the income between 9,951 and 40,525. And if you pay 22% on the rest, because some of your 50,000 of your taxable income falls in the 22% tax bracket, right? So they broke the example down. This much gets taxed at 10% from 0 to 9,951. And then from the 9,000 to the 32,000, this much gets taxed at the 12%, right? And remember, we're going 10, 12, 22, 24, 32, 35, 37. Let's look at tax brackets for 2022, just for 2022. I know they go up for 2023, but let's just for 2022. All right. So um 22% for incomes over 41,000. It don't give me the range. I want the range. Yeah. Let's go back. Let's see if we can find the range. Mm-mm-mm. Here we go. That's what I was looking for. All right, for 2022. So that 32,000 right here falls in that 12%. Now, if we go back over here and look at it, the way they broke it down, right? From zero, from zero to 10, from zero to 9,995 is 10%, and then the 12% comes in from the from the nine nines and the 2000s, from 9950 to 32,000. Let's go example two. This much gets taxed. Then they broke it down. This much gets taxed at 12%, right? From nine to here. And then this much gets taxed at 22%. And that's at the 50,000 mark. And the 50,000 mark later was here, right? Because you fall into the 22%, right? So you go 10, 12, 22, right? The whole thing isn't taxed at that 22%. So basically, what they're trying to show you is here, the more you make, you're gonna get this, 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 and this, and this. That's what I'm seeing. So the difference between tax deductions and tax credits. Tax deductions and tax credits may be the best part of preparing your tax return. Both reduce your tax bill, but in different ways. Knowing the difference can create some very effective tax strategies that reduce your tax bill, right? Tax deductions are specific expenses you've incurred that can subtract your taxable income. They reduce how much of your income is subject to taxes. Tax credits are even better. They give you a dollar for dollar reduction in your tax bill. A tax credit at at a value of 1,000, for instance, lowers your tax bill by 1,000. Would you rather have a $10,000 tax deduction or a $10,000 credit? Say this is your annual income. Say you got $100,000. Less tax deduction of 10,000, meaning taxable income of 90,000. You're still here with um, a income of 100. Your tax rate is 25%, and then 25%. So your calculated tax is at 22,500. Over here, you're at 25,000, but then you less that tax credit on 10,000, and then your tax bill now is 15,000 versus 22,500, right? So you want to focus on tax credits, right? You won't focus on both, but your greater benefit is on tax credits, right? So taking the standard deduction versus itemizing. Deciding whether to itemize or take the standard deduction is a big part of tax planning. Because the choice can make a huge difference in your tax bill, what is the standard deduction? Basically, it's a flat dollar. No questions asked. Tax deduction. Taking the standard deduction makes tax prep go a lot faster, which is probably a big reason why many taxpayers do it instead of itemizing. Congress sets the amount of standard deduction, and it typically adjusts every year for inflation. The standard deduction that you qualify for depends on your filing status, as the table is shown below. So 2021, you're filing single. You're 1295, married jointly, single, so forth, so on, right? What does itemize means? Itemize means instead of taking the standard deduction, you itemize your tax return. Make Which means taking an individual tax deductions that you qualify for one by one. Generally, people itemize if their itemized deductions add up to more than the standard deduction. A key part of their tax planning is to track the deductions through the year. The drawback to itemizing is that it takes longer to do your taxes, and you have to be able to prove you're qualified for the deductions. You you use IRS Schedule A to claim your itemized deductions. Some tax strategies may make itemizing especially attractive. If you own a home, for example, your itemized deductions for your mortgage interest, your property taxes may easily add up to more than the standard deduction. You could save money. You might be able to itemize your state tax return, even if you take standard deduction from your federal. Good news is tax software and good tax advisors can help you figure out what you need to do. Right? 4, keep your eye on the tax deductions and tax credits. Right? There are hundreds of people. There are 100 possible deductions and tax credits. Remember, when we're talking about what you can do with your taxes, right? There's the 6,000 pages, right? And tax credits out there that all have their own rules and about who's allowed to take them. Here are some big ones. Click on the links to learn them. Adoption credit, American Opportunity Credit, which deals with college education. Capital loss deduction, losses of stock sales to offset capital gains. Charitable contributions, giving money, cars, art, investments, household items, or other things to charity. Child and dependent care, child tax credit, credit for elderly or the disabled, earned income tax credit, people money for people below certain adjusted gross incomes, AGI, home office expenses, lifetime learning credit, undergraduate or even non-degree courses at credit institutions, medical expenses, mortgage interest, property taxes on real estate, residential energy tax credit, savers credit, contributions to an IRA for people with incomes below a certain threshold, right? Know what tax records to keep. Keeping tax returns and documents you use to complete them if you're ever audited. 6 years, 5 years, and indefinitely, right? And they talk about the categories: your income, your 1099 brokerage statements, alimony, your K1s, your 1099, 1099 DVIs, receipts, invoices, alimony pays, statement of charities, gambling losses, closing statements, purchase and sell invoices, insurance record, property taxes, retirement accounts, your IRA contributions, non-deductible IRAs, 401k statements, distribution records, annual statements, other investings, transaction data, including individual purchase or sale receipts and annual statements. 6, tax strategies to shelter income or cut your tax bill. Deduction and credits are a great way to cut your tax bill, but there are tax planning strategies that can help keep the IRS hands off your money. Tweak your W 4. Let me go down here. Put money into your 401k, put money into your IRA, your Roth contribution versus your traditional. They got the pros and cons of that. Early withdrawals, 529 if you're doing something that's flexible spending account, max out your HSA right here. And that's just these are just your basics. I'll get this to you so you could go through it yourself um, and check it out for yourself. Let's see, we got a statement here. Do I dare ask what if I Googled still data center as $1,000 square foot and 10K rent? Oh yeah. Yeah, I got stuff on. I got a whole thing here on data centers. But I think I'm gonna run out of time here. But I got a whole slew of stuff on data centers. I want to do this one too, because that's the basic, right? We just went over some basic stuff. I wanted to pull this up. Yeah, HSA is banned. Is better than FSA. Tax reduction strategies for high income earners for 2022. This came out in January. Let's see. Okay. Tax laws change frequently, increasing complexity, and can make it hard for high income earners and high net worth to stay on top of the latest tax strategy. Even with the free cheat sheet, we're going to click on that to guide you. Keeping up with the latest tax rules can be overwhelming. For example, there have been two major overhauls to tax legislations: the Tax Cuts and the Jobs Act of 2017 was the largest overhaul. But the tax challenges are temporary and increased the standard deduction for individual joint filers in 2022. a higher standard deduction of 12,950 for individuals, and joint is 25,900. In December 2019, the additional tax legislation was passed that the new Secure Act and the Tax Certainty and Disaster Tax Relief of 2019. And he has a video here, right? But he goes over tax basics, new tax legislation that came out. That we talked about those brackets. We also talked the tax rates on long-term capital gains and dividends for 2022. If you're single, anything of at less than 41,000, there's a 0%. But if you're single and it falls in between 41,000 to, and your income falls in between this, it's going to be at 15%. Anything above that, it's going to be at 20%. And also it talks about your estates and your trust as well too, right? So if you have that into an estate or trust, right? And then he goes on to talk about the Secure Act. He talk about your age for your RMDs, filing, Roth IRAs went up, and so forth. But let's go over here. I think I have to download this cheat sheet. Yeah, you got to download this, meaning I probably have to fill out some form. Yeah, got to fill out the form. Anyway, but in this cheat sheet, he talks about the IRS tax rates, alternative minimum tax information, Medicare Part B, Medicare and Medicare Part B, standard tax deductions, retirement plan annual limits, Roth IRA, and health savings account. Like you don't have to download that because that Nerd Wallet one covered that. What's the next one? Let me see. Is that the one? Yeah, that's the one I had. Let me see if this is one too. Yep, I went over that one. I know I didn't go over this one. Straight from the horse's mouth. Year-round tax planning. All taxpayers should understand the eligibility for credits and deductions. Straight from the IRS. Right? Straight from the IRS. Tax credits and deductions can help you lower your amount of tax owed. All taxpayers should begin planning now. To take advantage of the tax credits and the deductions they are eligible for when they file their 2022 tax returns, straight from the IRS. Here are a few facts that can help taxpayers with their year-round tax planning. Their AGI is taxpayers a total gross income minus the specific deductions that can reduce the taxpayer's income before calculating tax owed. Taxable income, the standard deduction, properly claiming tax credits. Some tax credits, like earned tax credit, are refundable, which means an eligible taxpayer can get money refunded to them even if they don't owe any on taxes. To claim a deduction or a credit, taxpayers should keep records that show eligibility for it, right? And they go into this a little bit more with the know your rights and so forth, but they got a list right here on itemized deductions, earned tax credit, tax credits. If you click on tax credit, it'll take you over here. How tax credit works. What can you do with tax credits? Here are different ones. Recovery rebate credit, charitable contribution, relief of withdrawals and loans from retirement plans, individual retirement arrangements, IRAs, child dependent care, so forth and so on. And there's a whole list of other ones for business and self-employed, opportunity zones, standard mileage rates, research credit, tax information and retirement plans, sick and family leave credit, employee retention credit, paid leave credit, increased limits on charitable contributions, and then they got more for businesses, right? So this is why people are always telling y'all to go out and start a business and roll a lot of things under your business because of the tax credits. Plug-in electric drive vehicle, research credit, deducting business expenses, abusive tax shelters and transitions, right? Just a whole slew of different things, right? That you can get under your business. And this is just cracking scratching the surface on that, right? Scratching the surface on that. And last but not least, I think no, I didn't. I also grabbed one from Investopedia. I try to give you different ones. And they talk about 6 strategies to protect your income from taxes. Again, the same thing. Interest income from municipal bonds is generally not subject to federal tax. Capital loss deductions can reduce taxes. Tax rates on long-term capital gains are low, contributing to qualified retirement and employee benefit accounts with pre-tax can exempt some income from taxation and defer income taxes. Invest in municipal bonds. Buying a municipal bond essentially means lending money to the state or government entity for a set number of interest payments over a predetermined period. Once the bond reaches maturity, the full amount of the original investment is repaid to the buyer. This is what I'm talking about with bond laddering. Interest on municipal bonds is exempt for federal taxes and may be tax exempt by state and local level as well, depending on where you live. Tax-free interest payments make municipal bonds attractive to investors, right? Shoot for long term capital gains, standing there over a year. Let's keep going. Start a business. Max out your retirement accounts and employee benefits, right? Fringe benefits. Use your HSA. Claim tax credits, right? Let me keep going. And it says bottom line, although it's important to pay all your all the legally owed tax to authorities, nobody has to pay extra. All right. I'm gonna leave that there. I think we're over. The next one starts at 2:30 or 3 o'clock. I don't know. You said 3? Okay. All right. That don't mean I can keep going, huh? Okay, D said I got 15 minutes. All right. So let me look and make sure that was everything on that one. Yeah. So let's go over here. It's a video. I've been talking enough. Put a one in the chat if you like the information today. Put a one in the chat if you like the information today. All right. So these videos, these series of videos that I'm bringing up are not just things that I have found interesting, but these are things that where I see again where people are making investments into, where people are moving towards, and what they're looking at. So let's get into this video. Let me make sure my sound is up, and let's go. So there you go. They're moving into theaters. So I would not be surprised if I'm Amazon. I'm just gonna buy AMC out. That's what I would do. They already, the real estate is already there. I just buy AMC out. I have my movies go straight to movies. Netflix pays me for the movies that they want to produce and put into the studios. I create. I mean, if push comes to shove, let's think about it. Let's speculate here. This is only tam speculation. If I'm Amazon, I go buy Disney and AMC theaters. That's what I do. I go buy Disney and AMC theaters. I get IP. I get a lot of intellectual property off of Disney. They still stick around. They already have the real estate. They're already there. They already make movies. They got characters. They're already international. Could be a play. Could be a play. Just a thought. Just a thought. All right. I said I was going to order this. In, in ads. No audio. I get audio. Hold on. Let me see. Let me see. That's interesting. I don't know why there's no audio on that video. It's playing loud and clear here. Let me switch them. Let me switch. Let's see. Let me switch. Let's see. Interesting. Let's try this. Interesting. Let's try this.
Well, champagne is synonymous with holiday celebrations, but are
What about it?
well, champagne is synonymous.
Yep. You got sound there.
Next guest is trying to disrupt the norm by encouraging consumers to swap the champagne bubbly for rosé. Joining us now is Lafette Wine Company founder, CEO, Donae Burston. Donae, the question is why rosé over champagne?
Well, listen, rosé, much like champagne, is all about celebration. It's one of those things that we all like to enjoy, whether together with friends, family, etc. So rosé is the new champagne.
And Donae, I want to ask you, because you've seen a lot of investment in this space. You've seen Constellation Brands invest in your company last year, and then you got NBA All-Star Chris Paul, who came on as an equity partner this year. What's the investment in this space, especially for rosé and for your company, looking like right now?
I mean, listen, it's a very good time for rosé in general. If you look at the overall category, we are only still 6 to 9% of the entire table wine category. So you think about Chardonnay, that's plus 30%, and red wine is plus 60%. There's so much growth and opportunity for rosé wine, hence why so many people and investment companies and other celebrities are jumping into it.
You know, we've heard over and over that despite the higher costs that customers are having to endure this holiday season, they're willing to shell out a little more because of where we've been the last few years. What does the demand picture look like for your product?
Yeah, so we've grown, tremendously. The numbers also sound, the astronomical growth, 300% year over year. Of course, starting from a smaller base, but the demand for products that consumers can connect with authenticity and kind of speak to who they are is what's really driving our growth. The rosé category, some would say, is saturated, but we're breaking through with the messaging of all-inclusive rosé. Rosé is for everyone, but that's a party and everyone's invited. So it's really this message of rosé anytime and redefining who drinks rosé and when.
And we know the consumers are becoming more cost conscious, although they seem to be willing to spend on alcohol. But what about costs for you in terms of things like supply chain issues and really having to compete when you do have this high inflation environment?
Yeah, we've seen that across the board with the cost of dry goods, the cost of freight and shipping. We've tried our best to mitigate those costs about pass them on to consumers. Just recently, we had to finally put a dollar price increase to consumers on the shelf. So it's something we're constantly working on and finding ways of mitigating those costs. But it's tough. I mean, the price of grapes in Philanthropy is going up tremendously year over year. The Ukrainian crisis is causing a glass shortage. Freight, although freight has dropped in some instances from Asia to America, that has not taken effect from Europe to the United States as of yet. So we're working daily to see what we can do to cut those costs. But as of now, we're going to really try to eat a lot of that so it's not impacting our consumer.
Let's talk more about how you have grown the brand. Number one, you've certainly been focused on what you've said, underrepresented communities, people of color, being more inclusive in your brand. You've also gone to sort of donating some of the money that you've made from your products to underrepresented youth. I wonder why you're using rosé specifically. I mean, why this product as a way to serve these communities?
I mean, for me, it was a passion. I fell in love with rosé through my travels. So when I looked for an organization to partner with, it was important for me to find one that would provide the same opportunities to underrepresented and underserved youth. I think travel, in addition to great education, is the window to the world. So for the organization that we chose, it was important to provide those sort of opportunities. One being All Abroad, which takes underserved kids on their first travel experiences internationally, and the other being the Roots Fund, which is looking to diversify the wine industry across the board, from winemaking to working in the Florida restaurant.
And Donae, where does your company's growth story go from here? What's the next step?
Yeah, we're going to expand the portfolio for sure. We've just launched a white wine called Lafette du Blanc. We're looking at a red wine at the top of next year, Lafette du Rouge. And we're looking to be a luxury player. Really, we're focusing on the wines that are coming out of Provence.
All right, great stuff to look forward to. A big thank you to Lafette Wine Company founder and CEO, Donae Burston. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much.
All right, so go get you some Lafette. All right, order from the brother. All right, so this one.
Time for Cut for Time. 3 stories, 1 minute each. We start with this. Turkey gets all the attention at Thanksgiving, but we're making it all about the pumpkin pie. Sam's Club is using AI to track just how much of their pumpkin pie Americans are eating. Their model uses things like temperature and the football games to track how much pie the stores need to make for the holidays. Jared, I think many folks would say this is creepy. I say, you go, Sam's Club. You sell those pies.
Yes, I got to tell you, I'm in league with Elon Musk here. I think the greatest existential threat to humanity is in fact AI, and this is just further evidence of that. So if you can calculate to the I don't know how many decimal places, how many pounds of pumpkin anybody's going to eat this year, I just find that a little bit disconcerting as well.
This is the last thing. Look, we've been talking all morning long how retailers entered the season with too much inventory. The last thing they need is excess pumpkin pie on the floor. All that stuff goes bad. You can pack away jeans, but you can't pack away pumpkin pie. It's just not going to happen. My hat is off to you, Walmart, which is the owner of Sam's Club.
I got to tell you, Christine, one of our makeup assistants here, head of makeup, she brought in some lovely treats made of pumpkin.
I had one of them. They're amazing.
Yes. So I
want to give you that because we talked about data security and automation. There you go. All right. That was the reason for the theme there. Right. You get to see that Sam's Club are using AI to track pumpkin pie. Right. The data, how much, where they need to ship it to, when they need to ship it, how much they need to keep, how much they need to buy. All right. So there you go. So you think you're not being tracked? Oh, yeah, you are. Oh, yeah, you are. All right. So that's it for today. That's all. I have more, but we got to stop. It's 2:30. And I just want y'all to have that information, your tax credits, your tax deductions, where we're moving to, looking at the digital dollar, looking at the infrastructure for how to build that digital dollar. We went over OpenShift. Don't be surprised if OpenStack is not a part of it. So OpenShift, UX designers, cybersecurity, data, AI, everything, anything that I've mentioned a part about the infrastructure, right? All about the infrastructure, right? And then how to secure that, right? So again, I'll see y'all in 30 minutes for those that are coming to the second show. Until then, y'all have fun.